In the last few weeks, we learned about the halachot of borer, which means separating food. And borer is such an important aspect in our lives. So separating, we just talked about AI beforehand. What's real and what's fake? You can create now, you just now created stories with AI. So when I was in the base once, you aren't allowed to take pictures in the base. So I created the picture of myself using AI, standing next to, I think, an F-15 fighter with all of the weapons on it. And I asked the guy in charge of security and if I can use this image on my Facebook and things like that. He got very mad. He didn't realize it was a fake picture. Where did you take that picture from? And then I saw it. Can't you see it's fake? Look at the details. You know it's fake. If you know the airplanes, you know it's not a real picture. It's not from our base. And he laughed. But part of our being people is differentiating and giving a definition for each thing. And that's borer. That's why we have borer, 3 melachot of Shabbat, of borer, of separating. We have zoreh, you take the wheat and throw it into the wind, and the wind helps you to separate it. You have meraked, using a sift, and you have also borer, separating with ever. We also have another melacha, which is somehow tied to borer, and that's called dash. Dash is also separating, but usually in dash, it's something which is one thing, and you're now creating from it something new. And I use purposely the word creating, because as we mentioned in the past, melachot of Shabbat got to do with creation. If there's no creation of something new, usually there will not be a melacha. And we'll see it this week again, the aspect of creation. So you have the grains, the wheat grains, with all of the peel on them. And I think none of us like to eat wheat grains with peel on them, right? So we have to separate. So the first thing you do, I'm not sure what's the name of it in English, is you like half grind, not really grind it, but animals used to step on it, and sometimes they used to have a piece of wood, a heavy log of wood, that the cow used to carry. Maybe I'll check for translation if we have here AI. Show me the translation. Okay, anyway, here we get in a moment. Threshing. Threshing. Right. So that's a translation of Menachet Dash, threshing on Shabbat, and it's separating something which is one thing and creating from it something new. What about squeezing juice? Making orange juice, or making olive oil, or grape juice? What about that on Shabbat? Shrita is a separated melacha. So you kill the animal in order to make something. Shrita, yes, shrita. Squeezing, yes, squeezing. Yeah. So squeezing is part of melechet dash, of threshing. Okay, so that's we're going to talk today about squeezing. With squeezing, we create something new. We take food, and from the food we create juice or drink. The most common examples we have in halacha are olives and grapes. Maybe I didn't check, but could be that most of the olives we grow, people grow, and most of the grapes that people grow are used for making grape juice and olive oil. So that's a great example of shrita, and this is forbidden on Shabbat. It's on Shabbat, one can't squeeze fruit that the purpose of them, you usually grow them. The normal way for growing them is to make juice from them. The normal way for growing them is to make a juice from them. And that's asur mideoraita. That's forbidden mideoraita from the Torah. Obviously, it's forbidden only if you're trying to make liquids, to create a liquid out of the solid. Okay, then it's asur mideoraita. If so, squeezing a sponge, making something new or not? So squeezing also, you create something new. Okay, you're taking a solid and creating from that a liquid. So there's something new in that. And also, it needs to be something that's the normal way of doing it. Okay, the normal way of doing it in order for it to be midoraita. Okay, midoraita has to be the normal way. So, for example, as I said, grapes. You squeeze grapes in order to make grape juice. What about fruit that people don't squeeze them usually to make juice? From lychees. When's the last time you made lychee juice? Right? Carambola. So there's someone here in the neighborhood who has a carambola tree. When's the last time you had carambola juice? Probably never. Who makes carambola juice from them? So things that you aren't allowed to the things that you usually don't squeeze, so that might permit it. It's a machlokes in the Rishonim, you try not to squeeze them. What about things that sometimes you squeeze them, sometimes you don't squeeze them? And what happens when things change? For example, lemons. I think no one today eats lemon, or hardly anyone today eats lemon, right? The main use of a lemon today is for lemon juice. That's why we use lemon. Okay, that's why we use lemon. Okay, so that's the question we have. So let's look at the different fruit and vegetables. Some Rishonim are very lenient. Okay, they're very lenient, and they say only from the Torah. Okay, just from the Torah, the only thing which is forbidden is grapes and olives. Why grapes and olives? That creates something important. For grapes, we make wine, we do kiddush on it. Olives, that special olive oil. In the Mishkan, they used to light the menorah with olive oil. So that's things used to do in the Mishkan, and that's very important liquids. Okay, so according to some Rishonim, like the Ran, you can create a new special liquid by squeezing those fruit. Halachically, also, there's a difference between orange juice and grape juice, and also oil. What bracha do we say on grape juice? For Pregafin. What bracha do we say on orange juice? Shakol. So the liquid squeezed from an orange, we view it as a simple water taken out of the orange. So the bracha goes down. So for orange juice, the bracha will be shakol. So that's why some Rishonim are lenient and say, from the Torah at least, only grapes and olive. From the Rabbanan, also other things will be forbidden. Some Rishonim say whatever the normal way is to squeeze. Also from the Torah, it's forbidden to squeeze. Okay, so we don't squeeze to make juice, different things. What about lemon juice? Many of us make salad on Shabbat. Can we squeeze lemon into the salad or on the fish? Many of us do it, but why? You're squeezing something here. And here we have again the definition we mentioned in the past of creation. Okay, creation. It's not just a matter of the action of taking the water out of the fruit. It's the definition of creation. Okay. When I when I squeeze orange juice, I create here juice. And it has importance of itself as a juice. If I take lemon and squeeze the lemon straight into the salad or right over the fish, what am I creating here? Am I creating juice? No. It's giving flavor to the fish. It's food into food. What I'm creating here, it's a type of food, so there's no new creation here. That's why you can squeeze lemon juice into a salad or on fish, for example. The same is the question about making lemonade on Shabbat. Can you make lemonade on Shabbat? Okay, lemonade on Shabbat. Lemon, if we say that grape juice is important because it's like wine, and olive is important because it's like wine, lemon juice probably in some aspect has a negative place. When the people usually don't drink lemon juice by itself, right? You can take a grape and squeeze it and have the juice. You can take an orange and squeeze it and have the juice, but usually you don't drink lemon juice by itself. Lemonade. You make lemonade. Right. You add sugar. You add water. Okay, so lemon juice on one hand, it's like any other liquids you're creating from food. On the other hand, it's maybe perhaps in a lower level. Since you don't drink lemon juice by itself, you make lemonade from it. So therefore, some Rishonim say one can squeeze lemon on Shabbat into a cup and add water and add sugar, and there's no problem. Other Rishonim say that's what many poskim say you should do, especially for Ashkenazim. You shouldn't squeeze lemon juice into a cup. You should squeeze lemon juice or on food, as we mentioned, or on sugar. Okay, and then also it's into food. Sugar is something solid. So you're taking a solid lemon, adding it into solid sugar, and then you add the water. Okay, so that's according to some of the Rishonim. So that's we touched the base of squeezing on Shabbat. You open a can of pickles. You can open a can of pickles, and you take a pickle. And many times the pickles have a lot of water inside it, a lot of liquids, the brine, and you don't want the brine. You want to have a nice, relatively dry pickle. You'll be eating it very soon with your kugel, and you don't want all of the brine to go on your kugel. Can you squeeze the brine out of the pickle on Shabbat? What do you think?
No.
So you're saying no, because
Taking the bad away from the good?
So here I'm taking the bad away from the good. It's maybe kederech achina, it's the way of eating, right?
I don't eat that.
Okay, no bad. You don't. Usually I don't. Sometimes, depending on the kind of the pickles, some pickles, the ones that come in big cans, the one that you find sometimes in yeshivot, they're very big, and you do want to squeeze them beforehand. And maybe the ones we usually buy in small cans, they're usually fine. If I take a pickle and squeeze it in order to, am I trying to create here brine? No, I can find better brine and make it by myself without taking it out of the pickle. Why am I squeezing it? Not for creation, in order to make the pickle better. So I'm not trying to create here something new. I'm now making the pickle better. The pickle is edible. I can eat it. I just don't like it a bit better with less liquids in it. So that can be done on Shabbat. Okay, and the condition for that is we have two conditions. Okay, two conditions. The first condition we just mentioned now. I'm trying to squeeze out in order to make the food itself better. The second condition is that the liquids aren't inherited or they aren't a part of the food. It somehow came into the food. Okay, so I'm now not separating something which originally was one. I'm separating something which from the beginning was two, and now I'm making it back again into two pieces. I remember talking about yeshiva food. So I remember once in yeshiva, I think it was around Hanukkah or something like that, they made for us falafel balls. And one of the students took the falafel ball, and it was full of oil. He said, "There's no nespach shemen. Just give the kohanim in the Beit HaMikdash falafel balls, and you'll have enough oil." So usually when I make falafel, I let the oil drip down and take it drips. Can you take a schnitzel or falafel ball and say it's too oily and squeeze the oil out on Shabbat? That's exactly our example, right? So it's not pickles; it's squeezing the oil out of the falafel ball on Shabbat. Not because I want the oil. I'm not creating here something new. The oil wasn't oil beforehand, right? It was oil beforehand. I'm not trying to get the oil and make from it something, a liquid. I'm just trying to make the food better. And therefore, there's no creation of anything new. And that's why I can do it on Shabbat.
So it's saying it's more or less your action than your intention of what you want to do.
Yeah. So part of it is the intention. I'm trying to make the food better. But part of it is also objective. Because squeezing typically is something which started as one, and then you're now separating it. We say that dash has some aspect of borer in it, right? So dash is threshing and borer is separating. So usually the squeezing, which is forbidden, is something which came as one grape, and now you're separating it to the liquid and to the solids. Here in the pickles that you're squeezing, or the schnitzel, whatever it is, from the beginning it was two. The oil was by itself and the schnitzel was by itself. And now you aren't creating new oil by squeezing, you're just separating the oil that was there already. So that's a condition which is more objective. Another condition, as you said, is more subjective, more depends on your intention. Am I trying to take the oil now and to use it for, I don't know, dipping food or to frying more schnitzels or whatever it is, or to make the schnitzel nicer? Okay, so it does have here some objective and some subjective. What about crushing ice on Shabbat? Can one crush ice on Shabbat? So crush snow. If you live in New York, and it's when was it? January or February? When did they have the ice storm there? January 2026, and there's a huge ice storm. You say, wait, I don't have any water. You take I remember once we lived in Beit El on a caravan, and now our pipes were exposed, and it was a very, very cold winter, and it was snowing outside. And usually in the winter, you leave a bit of the tap open, and then it doesn't freeze, right? And we forgot to do it. So I took snow, I melted it on the fire, and then poured it outside on the pipes, and then that way I was able to use the water again. Okay, so can you crush snow or ice on Shabbat? Crushing by hand is forbidden. Crushing by hand is forbidden. It's not from the Torah. It's more it's rabbinical. It's rabbinical. It's forbidden because you're creating now water by crushing the ice. Now, why isn't it from the Torah? Why I'm creating water? So why isn't it from the Torah? Because water and ice are the same thing. It's just a different form, right? So I'm not really creating here something new. I'm just changing the form of it. Okay, so that's why it's not from the Torah. It's rabbinical. Okay, it's rabbinical. Now, the question is, why is it rabbinical? And depending on that, there's a question, can I just take ice and put it in a cup and let it defrost without crushing it? Some poskim, and that's what the Shulchan Aruch says, some poskim say that the problem is the action of taking now ice and doing an action of squeezing. So it's not squeezing, it looks like squeezing, but because you're doing an action that looks like squeezing, that is forbidden on Shabbat. Okay. So therefore, according to that opinion, if I just take ice out of the freezer and put it in a cup, and then after an hour I have water, no problem. No problem at all. That's the psak. That's what the Shulchan Aruch holds. Some poskim say, and that's what also the Ramah follows the Truma and the Rosh. It's not the problem of the action of squeezing when you crush ice. It's just the problem of you are now nolad. You are creating here something new. The problem is more creation of something new. So we said it's not really creating something new, but it looks like creating something new. And therefore, also taking ice out of the freezer and putting it in a cup, you're creating something new because it will dissolve. It will melt, so it will melt, and then the ice will become into water. So that is a problem. So Ashkenazim lechatchila don't take ice and put it in the sun because it looks like of creating here something new. What do Ashkenazim do? If you have already a cup of water and you take the ice and put it in the cup of water and there's already water inside, so it doesn't look like now the new water is being created, right? It's true that in the end the ice is melting, right? But it doesn't look like. The whole problem, according to Ashkenazim, is it looks like as if you are now creating new water. But if the water is already in the cup and you add ice, there is no problem with that. What about freezing water on Shabbat? Can you make ice blocks on Shabbat?
No.
So actually the answer is yes. Yes and no. If you're making ice blocks on Shabbat to use on Motzei Shabbat, that's a problem of a general problem we have. On Shabbat, we prepare things for Shabbat. We don't prepare things for Sunday or for the weekdays.
If you're going to use it for Shabbat.
If you're going to use it on Shabbat, it's a very hot Shabbat, Ma'aleh Domim, right? And you Shabbat on the night, you finished all the ice cubes in the freezer, and you want to make sure you have ice for the day, so you can make ice on Shabbat. Now you can ask 1 second, I'm creating something new, right? It looks like as if I'm now creating something new. The Tzitz Eliezer explains that ice, we look at it differently. We view it differently. When I take ice out of the freezer and put it in a cup, it melts. After an hour, what will I have there? Water. After a day, what will I have there? Water. Which is something which is, we view it as permanent. I take the ice and put it in a cup, and afterwards I have water, and we view it as a permanent state. To make it into ice, I need to use energy. I need to use the freezer to make it into ice. And when I put it in the freezer and it becomes ice, I know it is a temporary state, right? So we don't view it as if I'm now creating something new that will stay like that. The way we view it, I'm making here something temporary. And as I said, the problem for the Ashkenazim, it's more of aspect of how do I view it? And since we view making ice as something temporary, so that is permitted on Shabbat. So on Shabbat, you can make ice cubes on Shabbat as long as it is for Shabbat. You can't now say, okay, tomorrow I'm going on a trip on a Sunday, and I'll need cold water, so I'll stick a few bottles of water in the freezer. That is a problem. But for Shabbat itself, that is permitted. Since we are talking a bit about food, and we have 2 or 3 more minutes, so we'll mention a few more halachot of food. We talked about now making ice blocks. Why isn't it called the boneh? I'm building, binyan. In general, we say there's no bniyah be'ochalin, there's no such thing as building in food, and in general, there's also no tzvi'ah be'ochalin, there's no painting on food, in food, usually. Which means I can't take a paper and paint on it because that's called sovea or kotev. But with food, adding color to food, what's the main part of food? The color or the fact that it's cooked, baked, and tasty? Cooked, baked, or tasty, right? When I add color to food, so first it's temporary until I eat it. And second, it's not the main part of the food. The main part of the food is the taste, the way it feels like. Okay, so there's no such thing as tzvi'ah be'ochalin, and also no bniyah be'ochalin, although it's a machloket, but many a mekel. Can you take hummus out of the fridge, out of the container, and put it nicely, shape it nicely on the plate, and then put olive oil on it and za'atar? On one hand, it's just food, but maybe it's memareach, straightening it up. So according to many poskim, there's no miruach be'ochalin. Okay, when I want to straighten up maybe the wall behind me so it will be nice and smooth. Okay, I want to straighten up whatever it is when I build something. But food, you can straighten up. That's not the main aspect. The hummus will taste the same whether you straighten it up or whether you leave it like that. It's the same hummus. So therefore, many poskim are makel by it. Last halacha will be about liquids. Liquids, some poskim are more machmir, okay, they're more stringent, and say with liquids there is a problem of sovea, of dyeing, of coloring. With liquids, usually, if I paint a wall, I need to make a liquid to paint the wall. If I paint my clothes, I need to make a liquid to paint my clothes. So painting a liquid, for example, juice, seems a bit more like what you usually do for painting things. Now, many poskim are lenient also with that. So many say, no problem at all. You have water, add to it a concentrate, and no problem at all. Some poskim, and lechatchila one should do it, but if we didn't do it, it's fine. Okay, it's fine. Same. If you want to make orange apple juice from concentrate, so first add the concentrate, and then add the water. And then it doesn't look like as if you're painting the water. And that's many poskim that say no problem, add the water and then add the apple concentrate, there's no problem. Some poskim, if one can do it, so first put the apple concentrate and then put the water. If you want to mix up red wine and white wine, first put the red wine and then add the white wine. Okay, they might say if someone needs, he can be makel, but if he can't, that's also fine.
Thank you for those answers to the question, Bill. Something.
Thank you very much.